Ask any independent country fan who's an artist that you should check out, and you're probably going to hear any of the following: Jason Isbell, Coulter Wall, Tyler Childers, Sturgill SImpson, Lori McKenna, the Turnpike Troubadours, Jamie Lynn Wilson, Sonny Sweeney, Cody Jinks, Whiskey Myers. The list goes on and on and on. And don't get me wrong, all of those artists are incredible, and those people are some of the cream of the crop of the independent country music world. And I actually have a video on this channel from a couple years back called The Avengers of Independent Country Music that kind of goes into why people love some of those artists I just named. But over the past few years, as those artists have been embraced to a large extent by huge groups of music fans, and you hear Whiskey Myers play on Yellowstone, or you see a GQ profile with Sturgill SImpson and Isbell, it has left the door open for a whole new crop of independent country stars that are taking up the banner for great music and lyricism, an anti-establishment attitude, and sometimes just a really good freaking time. So I want to look at this next crop of independent country stars, include a ton of music in this video. These are going to be kind of shallow takes because I just want to show people a bunch of great stuff. And if your favorite artist isn't in this video, it's not any shade to them. Just drop them in the comments down below. And FYI, all I really mean by independent is an artist that's not on one of the major labels. A lot of these people are on independent labels, but they're not getting the multi-million-dollar marketing packages and radio deals, and they're just not getting the tools that all of the majors have in their tool belt as they try to launch their careers.
There's no planks in the eyes of the strangely perfect crowd.
The first little category I wanted to talk about, I'm just calling broadly singer-songwriters. And that term's sort of annoying because obviously everyone in this video is a singer-songwriter, but just think like Jason Isbell or Lori McKenna. Think about artists whose words are really poetry. And first up, and the overall MVP probably of this video, is Zach Bryan.
There were Pabst cans on the nightstands where your jewelry's lying now.
Zach Bryan has lit the internet on fire for about 2 years now with his super simple acoustic videos of him just playing in a barn or playing in a field or playing around a fire. These dark, somber songs that have searingly honest lyrics that are often very hard on himself and just delivered with such passion. Zach is a Navy man whose clear work ethic has led him to release tons of music over the past few years, a lot of which has become the soundtrack for a bunch of heartbroken young guys. And I know that because I feel like I have a very similar audience. I think there's something about the way that Zach writes and sings that just hits guys in the heart and makes them feel things and open up in a way that's really inspiring to watch.
Oh, like you with your faded tattoos.
And yeah, he's got the relationship songs, he's got the kind of breakup songs, as well as the lovey-dovey romantic songs, but he also sings about like his friend's addiction, his mother's passing, and kind of this idea that goes through his whole career, the idea that he is moving at God speed, at the speed that he is supposed to be moving at, and just kind of experiencing all of life as it comes. When it comes to who is cool, who are people talking about, who excites people, there is no one in this video that has more passion behind him than Zach Bryan. And he's now signed to an independent record label. He just made his debut at the Opry, and it feels like we're about to watch someone ascend into the stratosphere. But if you were just to check out one song from him, I recommend Heading South, which is probably his biggest hit.
Don't stop going south.
Then I want to mention Cat Hasty.
We can dance around, kiss me on the kitchen sink.
Cat is someone that has drawn a lot of comparisons to Zach Bryan for her sheer viral buzz based off really simple acoustic music. But also, and this is more important, for her great songwriting. Cat has a real observational wit, and that's why a bunch of her tweets have gone viral over the years. But it was a song of hers called Pretty Things that was her first real viral musical moment because of a pretty funny, insightful bridge about a girl in Dallas who is just very materialistic.
So won't you go on and marry that lady, wears Louis Vuitton and drives around in her Mercedes.
But that song is more than just a joke. It's Cat kind of saying, I know who I am and I know what I'm about, and I don't need all those pretty things. And I think that groundedness comes through in a lot of her songwriting, like on another standout track called What Our Parents Taught Us, where she is telling a man that we can reject the patterns of our past and what our parents did and just love each other. And it's crazy to see songs like these get millions of streams because until very recently, when Cat went and played with Zach Bryan's Belting Bronco crew, there was like no videos of her online performing. And still now, we mostly have got like a couple album covers and just some pictures that she has posted on social media, but she is one of the buzziest things happening in music. I can't wait to see what she has in store. But if you're only going to check out one song, I think it's got to be Pretty Things. The last person in this category is Gabe Lee.
That life is more than rust and gasoline.
Gabe Lee always reminds me of a cross between John Prine and Bob Dylan. I feel like as a lyricist, he's so tactile. There are so many details in his lyrics. You get names of cities, you get Walmarts and pawn shops and coffee cups and a guy that looks like Jesus eating a bowl of mac and cheese. I think most of Gabe's music is just perfect music for when you are driving alone. Imagine it's like a hot August day, your windows are down, and you can really imagine these scenes that he is painting.
And it don't look like I'll be home by Christmas Day.
But he's also so dynamic. The guy can rock out, and there's moments on Great Big River that feel really soulful. On Honky Tonk Hell, you get so much more rock attitude. And he's got such a humble demeanor off stage as well, but despite, his lack of showiness, people are obviously taking notice. He's been added to Kip Moore's tour, as well as the American Aquarium tours this year. And I completely get it. I actually had Honky Tonk Hell as my #1 album of 2020. And if you only check out one song by him, I feel like it's gotta be either Eveline or Imogene. I think I'm just gonna say Eveline.
Eveline, without her.
After that, I want to head to Texas and talk about some artists that I feel like are following in the footsteps of some of the Texas, red dirt, even kind of some of the Oklahoma scene. Artists like Aaron Watson or Turnpike Troubadours or Co Wetzel or Parker McCollum. First up in this category is the band Flatland Cavalry.
Round the boys up to the spot, makers all around.
Flatland Cavalry has a little slogan in their Twitter bio that says, easy on the ears and heavy on the heart. And I think that is a perfect description for them, because you almost might imagine them as a little bit more of a pleasant and hopeful sounding version of the Turnpike Troubadours. They've got some barn stompers that'll get people dancing and honky tonks, but they've also got a lot of more plaintive, romantic, sweet lyrics, like their very famous duet, A Life Where We Work Out, which actually features Cleto Cordero, the lead singer's now wife, Caitlin Butts.
It's in a life where we work out, and love's hotter than a summer day.
And although Caitlin doesn't have a ton of music out there, she is another artist you might include in this video. Her song, How Lucky Am I, is starting to get really popular. Flatland Cavalry's most notable different thing from a lot of other bands is just how prominently they feature the fiddle in all of their songs. And that can make their songs feel really playful, or sometimes really lonesome, or sometimes kind of both at the same time. That's the magic of a fiddle. But especially when you put it with the drums, and when you put it with the guitars and bass, and then Cleto Cordero's delicate voice, you've just got a recipe for success. If you want someone to get into the Texas scene, I think they're a perfect gateway band, because they don't feel so outlawed that it's like off-putting to an outsider. If you're only gonna listen to one Flatland Cavalry song, I would say show your significant other A Life Where We Work Out, and show your friend maybe Honey Wine. After that, I want to mention Kolby Cooper.
Come on, girl, it ain't that hard to keep at peace.
Kolby Cooper is one of those artists that I feel like is in the same category as Co Wetzel, which is a guy in Texas that is kind of categorized in country music, but really you could call him a rock artist. And when I hear from guys at UT or at A&M or something about artists that they like, and they send me Reed Southall and they send me Pecos and the Rooftops or Kolby Cooper, at first listen, I'm like, this is just a rock artist. And it took me a minute to kind of understand the culture down there. But Kolby is a young guy with a lot of attitude, and you can hear that really clearly on his new song, 2 Words, which is about a certain tell-off that he wants to give a girl that just can't get over him.
Till we're through, fuck you.
He's got a really strong voice. I'd almost put it between Parker McCollum and Luke Combs. And he's got a really funny writing style. There's another song of his called One Night Stand that is a total bait and switch and makes me laugh really hard. And although I wasn't crazy about some of the production on his early work, I think he is developing very rapidly a much more mature sound. And I'd love to see that. But yeah, anyway, I would say if you check out one song, check out 2 Words. It's on my Spotify playlist, which, FYI, always linked down below. The last one I'm going to include in this Texas section is Triston Marez.
With neon lights.
If there's a Texas artist I would compare Triston to, I think it would be Aaron Watson, in that he is making straight down the middle, exemplary country music. It's fun, it's sensitive, it's super country, delivered with gusto and real charisma. Triston is pretty new on the scene, but I just freaking love the sound of his debut album. It just gives me such 90s country vibes, you get fun guitar licks going through it, but then you also get some mainstream appeal too with songs like 2 Beers on the Bar. He's even got a collaboration on there with Ronnie Dunn called Where the Neon Lies. And I think he has very deftly gone from someone that was going to just be sort of localized down into the Texas scene to making inroads in Nashville, and he might end up having a pretty darn big career. I'd love to see it. If you only check out one song, I'm gonna recommend just a really fun summer jam called Day Drinking.
Day drinking leads to happy hour
Which is actually a Chris Stapleton cut.
You wake up in the morning and grab your hard hat.
Then I want to talk about some artists that I'm going to call Appalachian / Bluegrass. And I'll admit this is not a perfect category, but whatever. I just wanted a way to kind of organize this video. These are some artists that might be following the footsteps of Sturgill SImpson or Tyler Childers, hence the Thicket shirt. And as I've been arguing for a while now, I actually think the heart and soul of independent country, even the outlaw movement, is really based in Appalachia, based in states like Kentucky and West Virginia right now, even more than down in Texas. And I think the backdrop of kind of the dying coal industry and the opioid crisis set against the beauty and goodness and traditions of a part of America that a lot of the country just sort of ignores kind of leads to this natural chip on the shoulder, and that kind of gives that sort of music its edge.
My name is Tyler Childers. I'm an Appalachian artist from the foothills of East Kentucky, and I play country music. As a man who identifies as a country music singer, I feel Americana ain't no part of nothing, and is a distraction from the issues that we are facing on a bigger level as country music singers.
And often yields introspective, wise, observational songwriters, like the first person I want to mention, Charles Wesley Godwin.
I met her in dance hall early one spring.
I was blown away by Charles Wesley Godwin's debut album Seneca. It was in my top 3 for the year of 2019. This album just transports you to the hollers of West Virginia, and you get this imagery of the coal mines and the wild strawberries and the echoing over Seneca Creek. He's got this incredible baritone that just feels old and wizened in a way. And most of it is set to a simple acoustic guitar, but you get fiddle and steel and this kind of stomping percussion. It feels so luxe, even though it feels so kind of bare bones at the same time. And if you're gonna check out one song by Charles, I have to recommend Hardwood Floors, which is a surprisingly romping good time.
Let's warm up these hardwood floors, and tonight I'll see you spin around.
Then I want to mention a relatively new person on the scene, Cole Chaney.
Well, you know what they say about legends and verse.
Cole Chaney just came out with a debut album called Mercy, and again, this is using kind of coal country as a backdrop, and he's thinking about where he's from and thinking about how he still loves that place. And man, the songwriting on this is exemplary. The delivery style, it's definitely going to remind you of Tyler Childers, but actually it reminds me sort of Charles Wesley Godwin. And he just paints such a picture on songs like Another Day in the Life of kind of the monotony of working and then going fishing to avoid working.
You know, a bad day fishing beats the hell out of working. Yeah, I went a line a day.
Praying with his family and dreaming about being a bird and flying away. And man, he takes you to Kentucky in so many ways on this album, and it's beautiful. And yeah, Another Day in the Life would be the song that I recommend you check out by Cole Chaney. That or Silver Run. I think you can hear similar influences in the music now of Logan Halstead.
Lend me your hand, girl, won't you give me a dance underneath this Kentucky sky.
Logan is a dude that I don't think has much recorded music out there. There's just a bunch of super viral videos of him singing. At first glance, I thought he kind of looked like Colter Wall and sounded kind of like Tyler Childers. But there's a starkness and a wisdom in this guy's voice that is way beyond his years. And from the little bit that I have seen, man, he feels like the real deal. It feels like there is another Zach Bryan on our hands of just, okay, simple acoustic videos taking this guy the distance. And I have to say this, so many people get on a lot of these guys' cases for being like, this is just a ripoff of Tyler Childers. But A, I think there are distinct things about each of these artists, and B, I think that's awesome that Tyler Childers is so influential despite not being some big mainstream star. I think if people are inspired to write honest lyrics about life and love and country living, like, that's awesome. And I think this is an amazing development. And I hope even more artists are influenced by Tyler Childers. Now, someone that doesn't sound at all like Tyler Childers, but I'm throwing into the bluegrass category because, you know, that sound came out of Appalachia, is Billy Strings.
I just took the lighter to the bullpen and watch it burn.
Billy Strings is famously a prodigy on the guitar. He's got long hair, wears a lot of tie-dye, feels kind of, I don't know, psychedelic, let's say, and has kind of been this beacon of hope for the bluegrass / newgrass, whatever you want to call it. Like him and Sierra Hull, they've sort of embodied the same energy that Nickel Creek did maybe 15, 20 years ago, where it is this new hope for an evolved sound of bluegrass. And if you want to hear some amazing picking, some incredible breakdowns, and some really introspective writing, you're gonna love Billy Strings. He's starting to kind of break through now. He actually collaborated with Luke Combs on his song The Great Divide, which super cool to see. But if you were gonna only check out one song from him, I would definitely recommend Away from the Mire.
Will you always laugh about those things?
I feel like that is just his opus, and it makes me feel so hopeful. And the last thing I want to mention in this category is just that I have my eye on Sierra Farrell. I have loved everything she has put out thus far. She's gonna have like a little dash of New Orleans sort of more funkiness in her sound, but I'm super pumped about it.
Just tell me what you want me to do.
And then the last category, super small, I'm just calling it country adjacent. This is for folks that maybe don't love the full-on twanginess of country and find that a little cheesy, but they've got a little more urbane city taste. They like stuff like Anderson East or St. Paul and the Broken Bones, stuff that they might hear on NPR. First up in this category is Yola.
I take a ride out in the country, get some wind.
Yola is a British artist who rose to prominence with her country soul album Walk Through Fire, which she recorded with Dan Auerbach. And man, she has a crazy good voice. If you've not heard any of her solo music, you might recognize her from singing on the Highwomen album. She actually is a guest vocalist on the song The Highwomen. And there are a few people that have just more power behind their voices than Yola does. But what I think makes her cool, and I always say this, is that she doesn't use it to like a 10 out of 10 every time. Sometimes she just pulls way back and you can hear that she could go and belt, but she doesn't have to. And she also fuses a lot of soul into her music, and it seems like coming up on her new album, there might be a lot more of that sound. If I could only recommend one song from her, although my taste would probably be right out in the country, I think probably I Don't Wanna Lie is maybe the crowd favorite, that or Far Away Look. And then finally, we've got Morgan Wade.
Johnny called me late last night.
Morgan Wade has a super cool, raspy voice, and she kind of started to get really buzzy when there was this one song, The Night, by her that was out. But by the time her debut album rolled around, which was produced by Sadler Vaden, who you might recognize as the guitarist in Jason Isbell's band, The 400 Unit, it was clear that she was not just a one-trick pony with that song, because she released an incredible album that is unflinchingly honest about her journey with sobriety, about the own ways she's really hard on herself, and in also her desire for a relationship. On songs like Take Me Away or Wilder Days, you're just getting a really raw person that is putting themselves on display for your entertainment.
I'm kissing you in a hotel lobby.
This sort of does have that washed out indie rock feel, but you also just get this really raw edge to it as well. And there's no way you can really wash out Morgan Wade's voice. But yeah, she's just tough, cool, she's got a million tattoos and looks like a badass. If you only check out one song by her, I think it's probably gotta be, I'm saying Take Me Away. I think Take Me Away is the jam, but Wilder Days is the hit. There's so many people I didn't mention in this video, and I really do want to hear who kind of your favorites are. There's people like Charlie Crockett or even Upchurch that have just been around for a long time, have released a lot of music. They're independent, they're popular, so it would seem almost kind of demeaning to put them in a video about like who's next. Other folks I really love and I hope become kind of the next superstars. Emily Scott Robinson, her album was amazing. Charlie Marie, she's seeming to be really on the rise. Muscadine Bloodline, they have the respect of everyone in Nashville and seem to be walking that line of not going corporate, but playing with the corporate people. I really like them. But let me know who your favorites are, and I hope this is just a good starting point for people if they're interested in kind of going outside of the mainstream. This is just like a nice little starter pack. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to go check out the Avengers of Independent Country, that video is up on the channel. All my links, my Spotify playlist, all that stuff, it's down below. And I'll see you guys soon with a bunch more. Later.